Adopted son exposed a heartwarming secret. His mother's incredible $100 million assets revealed. Jake stood in the cramped kitchen, heat swirling around him as he flipped burgers at the Oakwood diner. The familiar sizzle felt like home, but his heart was elsewhere. He dreamed of something more. Eyes darting to his mother Ellen, who poured coffee with a smile that hid a world of sacrifices, he felt the weight of her unwavering love. She had raised him alone, battling every obstacle with the fierce precision of a war hero, her tough exterior masking a heart of gold. But today was different. Today's search for a tax receipt sparked a secret that unraveled everything. Amidst the clutter of old family love letters and paperwork, Jake found it, a large envelope. Curiosity ignited as he tore it open. Stock statements? Property deeds? His heart raced, scanning the numbers like a child peering into a treasure chest. Over $100 million? He staggered back, the world narrowing to that moment. Betrayal sliced through him. Was his mother rich all along? How could she? A million questions spiraled in his mind, but one echoed loudly. Why? Every burger he served, every shake poured out his frustration, consuming him. He felt the diner's warmth turn chill. Confrontation itched beneath his skin like 1,000 needles. When their eyes met across the tables, Ellen's smile flickered. Who was she really? Was she ashamed? Did she hide this fortune from him, or was it to protect him? Torn between love and outrage, he needed answers. Mom, we need to talk, he blurted out later that evening. The diner's long gone. Ellen's expression hardened, and Jake's heart ached at the sight. He tossed the envelope onto the table. The glittering numbers felt cold and accusatory. Why didn't you tell me? In shock, Ellen's hands trembled. A soldier unearthing old wounds. Jake, her voice broke. I wanted to keep us grounded. I didn't want this wealth to change us, to set us apart from everyone we know. The truth hung like a storm cloud, charged back and forth. She explained her upbringing, the loss of her own parents, how she learned to bury pain deep beneath loyalty and sacrifice. But trading honesty for shame? Jake shouted, emotions boiling. What if I wanted to help people, use it to make a difference? Tension cracked the air between them. Their feelings tangled tighter than ever. A silence fell, heavy with unsaid truths. In that thick fog, memories flashed, a life forged in struggle and love. What was riches when they walked through life hand in hand on heartache's avenues? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the reality of their conversation set in, Jake saw a flicker in Ellen's eyes, vulnerability, not just strength. Would they find a pathway back to each other? Could they reshape family into something new? Amid these silent screams of affluence, hope began to spark as shadows awaited their next move. Could love and understanding heal the scars of secrets? Every breath felt charged, poised for transformation. Jake took a deep breath, ready to bridge that chasm between them, yet uncertainty gnawed at him. How could they reconcile a life of struggle with an unexpected fortune? The answer lay just out of reach, inviting yet daunting, as their shared journey began to dawn. The kitchen lights flickered, casting shadows on their faces as the weight of Ellen's revelation settled between them. Jake felt like he was standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into an abyss. He had always fought hard to forge his identity, and now he was grappling with this monumental truth about his mother. Mom, do you even understand what this could mean for us? He asked, his voice trembling. Why hide it from me? Ellen clenched her fists, as if trying to hold on to the very fabric of their relationship. I thought I was protecting you from the pressure it brings. You've always wanted to be your own person. I didn't want this wealth to define us. So, living in ignorance was your solution? Jake countered, frustration boiling just beneath the surface. What happens when the world finds out? You think it's better to let me believe we're struggling? A flicker of pain crossed Ellen's face. I grew up with nothing. Watching my parents fight just to keep food on the table. She paused to gather herself. I didn't want you to share that burden. I wanted you to be free of it. Jake's voice dropped to a whisper. But I didn't feel burdened, Mom. I felt loved. Tears glistened in her eyes, reflecting the stark kitchen lights. I thought if you could live without the weight of money, you would be happier. But I see now I was wrong. The confession hung in the air, weighty and sharp. Jake felt his heart soften a bit, but the frustration still flared. We could have had a choice. Together, we could have made something good out of it. Good? Ellen replied, half laughing. You don't even know how much good it could do. I felt like I was walking a tightrope trying to balance everything. If we started sharing this burden now, what if we don't know how to handle it? The frantic pulse in Jake's chest began to slow. He remembered the countless nights they spent with nothing but each other. The laughter over ramen noodles, the comfort of small moments. They had built their own happiness, struggling side by side. But this wasn't just about riches anymore. It was about choices, trust, and honesty. Mom, Jake said, his tone steady now. We can learn together. If we're truly family, we can face this head on. We need to be honest, not just with each other but with ourselves. I want to help people. I want to use what you've worked so hard to hide to change lives. Ellen's expression softened, the lines of worry easing. What if I told you there were strings attached? What if accepting this wealth means revealing who I really am, all the mistakes I made along the way? The possibility hung tantalizingly between them. Jake leaned forward, eager. Then we faced them together. Let us uncover the truths, all the skeletons in the closet. Imagine who we could be if we didn't hold back. As their gazes locked, an understanding began to bloom. They were fighters, both forged in hardship but now presented with a chance to redefine their next steps. I can't promise it's going to be easy, Ellen said, the warmth returning to her voice, but I promise to try. And with that promise made, the air around them shifted. It was like opening a window after years of stale air. A world of possibilities unfurled, rich and vivid. Just as Jake felt a surge of hope, Ellen's phone buzzed violently on the table, breaking the moment. The screen flashed with a notification that caused her eyes to widen in shock. Oh no, Jake, this isn't any good. We need to talk about this right now. What is it? Jake's heart raced again, the weight of urgency pulling them back into the storm. Ellen turned the phone toward him, revealing a message that cracked the very foundation of their newfound trust. It's from my lawyer. They know about the assets and they're coming for us. Jake's breath caught in his throat. The journey ahead morphed into a treacherous path, suddenly filled with obstacles that neither of them could fathom. What lay ahead? Could they navigate through the shadows and come out on the other side together? The answer was tangled and uncertain, just out of reach as they faced the reality of their fractured trust. Jake stared at the screen, his mind racing. What does this mean? Are we in trouble? His voice shook, the urgency settling in his stomach like a storm cloud. Ellen swallowed hard. It means that everything I thought I was protecting us from is now crashing down. They know about the estate, Jake. They're going to want to investigate it all, where the money's from, what it means for us. A chill crept down Jake's spine. He felt like he was thrust into a whirlwind without any warning. The hope they had just found now felt fragile, at risk of shattering. What do we do? He asked, his heart pounding louder than ever. I don't know yet, she replied, her voice steady but laced with worry. But we need to prepare. There might be questions and I can't. She paused, visibly shaken. I can't let you face this alone. Mom, I'm not a kid anymore, he reassured her. We can tackle this together. You're not just my mom. You've become my partner, my ally. We're a team and we've just found out we have this legacy to think about. We can use it. Ellen looked down, her hands trembling. But what if they want to dig into my past? I've spent years trying to hide it all. I can't deal with the fallout. Not now. Not ever. Mom, we have to face the past to move forward. We can reinvent how the world sees us. He reached out, placing his hand over hers, feeling the tremor beneath his palm. We're going to write our own story. It's time we stopped running. She looked up, fresh tears brimming in her eyes. You're right, she whispered. So many memories packed in boxes I thought I could just leave behind. I was scared that those ghosts would haunt us, but I'm scared of losing you more. Jake squeezed her hand. You won't lose me. We've fought through so much together. This time won't be different. The warmth of their connection began to bridge the distance that had been formed. A determination bloomed between them, like a seedling pushing through the frost to find sunlight. Then, Ellen's phone buzzed again, pulling them momentarily back to reality. It's the lawyer. I have to answer this. Let me listen in, Jake urged, not wanting to miss anything that could affect their lives. Ellen nodded nervously and, after a deep breath, answered the call. Yes, it's Ellen. What do you need? Yes, I know. I got the notification. No, this isn't the time to discuss my past. Her voice wavered as she spoke, grappling with the weight of the words. Jake watched her, his own heart racing. He knew they were on the cusp of something huge, something beyond their wildest dreams or darkest fears. I understand, Ellen finally said, slipping her eyes toward Jake. I'll come in tomorrow. We'll talk. She hung up, looking even more anxious. They want to meet in person. There's no avoiding it. Then we face it head-on, Jake affirmed, feeling a swell of determination wash over him. Let us go in there together. We can plan how to best present ourselves in our story. But first, we need to gather everything we can about the estate. We'll make sure we're ready, Mom. No more hiding. Ellen breathed deeply, nodding slowly, as each word ignited a flicker of strength within her. All right. Together. That feeling of unity wrapped around them, something to grasp onto in the face of uncertainty. But just as hope blossomed, her phone buzzed again, and the dread crept back like a shadow. What now? Jake glanced at Ellen's face, reading the worry etched in her eyes. Who is it this time? She hesitated, turning the screen toward him like it bore bad news. It's a message from my old business partner, something that could change everything. Jake's stomach dropped. What now? What other surprises awaited them on this journey they'd just begun? He was ready to face it all. But could they endure yet another crushing revelation? The cliff was growing closer, and even if they were in this together, the depth below seemed unending. Ellen's hands trembled as she read the message. It just says that he's back in town and wants to meet. He's been keeping an eye on me, Jake. The air felt thick and heavy. Jake leaned closer, trying to see the screen, desperate for answers, yet sensing a darker cloud starting to form. What does he want? She closed her eyes, memories flooding back, laughter, betrayal, dreams turned into dust. I thought I left all of that behind. He was someone I trusted, but things went south between us. I can't deal with him now. Not with all this happening. But maybe this is a good thing, Jake said, feeling hope flicker. If he knows about the estate, he might know something that can help us. We could use leverage in case the investigation goes south. Ellen shook her head vigorously, panic washing over her. You don't understand. He's not the kind of man you can reason with. If he's involved in any way, it'll only complicate our situation. He could expose everything I tried to protect, everything you and I are trying to build. Jake felt a knot tighten in his gut. Are you sure? What if he has changed? People can surprise you. She pulled away, missing the warmth of their connection. Jake, you don't know him. He'll find a way to twist everything to his advantage. My past is a mess, and I'm not willing to let it draw you in. Mom, we can't just avoid this. If he's reaching out, there's a reason. We should at least hear him out. The urgency in Jake's voice matched the racing pulse pounding in his ears. Tears fell from Ellen's eyes, fresh and raw. I'll put you in danger if I do that. It's already hard enough. Can't you see? I'm putting us both at risk by digging into my past. He took a deep breath, trying to grasp clarity amidst the chaos. But we're already in the thick of it, aren't we? We can't let fear win. We owe it to ourselves to find out what he wants. You deserve to confront those ghosts. Ellen opened her mouth but closed it, as if losing a fight she hadn't wanted to engage in. Her face swirled with conflicted emotions. She had always been the protector, someone who faced the shadows alone to keep Jake safe. All right, she finally whispered, staring at the message again. But we go together. No more hiding. If he wants to meet, we both need to be present. A sense of relief washed over Jake. Good. We've got each other's backs. The plan formed and solidified a path forward, but deep down, Jake felt the storm brewing. Could they truly confront the past together? Or would it tear them apart? Then, just as they appeared to find a foothold, Ellen's phone lit up again, a video call request. It was unknown. They both exchanged wary glances, anxiety creeping in. Who could that be? Ellen asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. I don't know, but we need to find out. It could be important, Jake urged, knowing that their lives were spiraling into depths he couldn't have anticipated. As Ellen pressed the accept button, the screen filled with a face from a lifetime ago, someone who could turn the table completely. Jake, I think we might need to brace ourselves. This isn't just about the estate anymore. The weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. Would they hold strong? Or would the revelation before them tear the fragile tapestry of trust they'd woven? The unknown stretched out dark and vast, and as a voice echoed from the other side, Jake knew they were standing at the edge of something monumental. The screen flickered, revealing a familiar face that took both Ellen and Jake by surprise. It was Marcus, his eyes carrying an unmistakable glint of mischief, softened by a knowing smile. He looked different, older and a bit more worn, but there was an energy about him that commanded attention. Ellen blinked, her hand pulling back from the phone, as if it could shield her from the barrage of memories flooding in. "What do you want, Marcus?" she managed, the sharpness in her voice betraying her composure. "Nice to see you too, Ellen." Marcus's grin widened, but his eyes held a serious depth. "I hear you've been looking into the estate. Figured we could have a little chat." Jake sensed the tension rising like damp air before a storm. "What do you know about the estate?" he demanded, protecting his mother instinctively. "Relax, kid. I know a lot more than you think, and I'm here to help." His tone shifted, as if suddenly aware of how his presence could stoke the embers of Ellen's past. "But first, I need you both to trust me just for a moment." Ellen cast a wary glance at Jake, who clenched his jaw, torn between fear and curiosity. "You haven't exactly given us a reason to trust you, Marcus." "True," he replied smoothly, leaning forward, his expression serious. "But I also know things you don't. About your father's hidden assets and the mess surrounding them. I can help you get what's rightfully yours, but you have to be willing to listen." Ellen's heart raced at the mention of her father. She felt the burden of years weighing heavily on her shoulders, battling the walls she had built. "How do we know this isn't another trick?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. "Because I'm not here to ruin you. I'm here to save you," Marcus said, and there was sincerity in his tone that caught her off guard. "The people after you, they're not just after the estate, they want to bury the truth." Jake shared a look with his mother, the ripple of concern reflecting between them. "What truth?" he pressed, feeling the gravity of the moment overshadow all else. Marcus hesitated, glancing around as if the walls could be listening. "There was a reason your father kept everything under wraps. Deals with people who don't play by the rules, and they're still out there." He paused, gauging their reactions, resolving to press harder. "And they're not going to stop until they get what they want. You need to be ready." Ellen could feel her skin crawl. "Stop. You're not saying anything substantial, Marcus. What exactly do you want from us?" "Just a chance to talk face to face," he said, lifting his hands halfway as if in surrender. "Let me show you what I've found. But it has to be in person, in an environment where we can be certain no one is listening. I can help you. Together we can shine a light on all these shadows." Jake glanced at his mother, debating the seriousness of the situation. "What do you think, Mom?" Ellen's face remained a mask of uncertainty, but deep within, hesitation tangoed with a flicker of hope. They stood at a precipice, the past and future colliding in a chaotic rush. "All right," she finally breathed, breaking the silence that hung around them. "Where do you want to meet?" Marcus's grin returned, triumphant and sly. "There's an old diner outside of town. Perfect place to keep things low-key." As they exchanged details, Ellen's apprehension melded with the resolve to protect what mattered most, the trust between her and Jake. "Just promise me you'll be careful," she insisted, the weight of her words heavy. "No matter what happens, we need to stay united." "Absolutely," Jake affirmed, squeezing her hand tightly, a bond solidified between them. But as they ended the call, a chill ran down Jake's spine. He felt the shadows looming closer, the past once more reaching out with cold fingers. Ellen drew in a sharp breath, peering out the window at the night that had fallen. "What if Marcus isn't telling us everything?" she whispered. "He probably isn't," Jake admitted, a hard knot tightening in his stomach. "But we have to go. There's no other choice." With every step towards the diner looming ahead, a question lingered in the air, unanswered, stark against the encroaching darkness. What other truths were waiting to unravel? The drive to the diner was suffused with an uncomfortable tension. Ellen gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles white against the dark backdrop of the night. Every shadow seemed to stretch and twist, threatening to envelop them. Jake sat beside her, his heart thumping in his chest like a warning drum. "Do you think he is serious?" Jake broke the silence, his voice low, laced with apprehension. Ellen exhaled slowly, her eyes focused on the road ahead. "I don't know what to think, Jake. I know Marcus he has always had a knack for bending the truth to fit his needs," she said, her mind racing. "But if he really has information about your grandfather's hidden assets, it could change everything." "What if it's a trap?" Jake whispered, glancing into empty fields that rushed by, the night stretching endlessly around them. "What if they're waiting for us?" Just to Jake's stop, Ellen cut in sharply, her voice firm yet filled with an underlying warmth. "We can't let fear dictate our lives anymore. We're here for a reason." Her gaze softened toward him. "We need to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be." The diner came into view, an old structure with flickering neon lights that hum with memories of laughter and conversations long past. Ellen parked, her heart racing as she turned off the engine. "Are you ready?" she asked, meeting Jake's eyes. He inhaled deeply, determination filling the space where doubt had just lingered. "Let us do this," he replied, a tinge of resolve in his voice. As they stepped out into the cool night air, the familiar scent of fried food wrapped around them like a hug. The diner was mostly empty, the shadows creating cozy nooks, but it felt like they were stepping into a different time. Inside, Marcus was already seated at a booth in the back, casually sipping coffee, a knowing smile playing on his lips. He waved as they approached, the air thick with unspoken words. "Glad you could make it," he said, setting his cup down. Ellen slid into the seat opposite him, her eyes narrowed. "What do you want us to know?" Marcus leaned in, his tone shifting to something serious. "There's a lot you don't know about your father's business practices. The estate isn't just bricks and mortar. It's a labyrinth of deals that stretch far beyond what you can see." He paused, ensuring they absorbed the weight of his words. "People have gotten hurt over this. People who don't play nice, and they think you two don't deserve it." "What do you mean hurt?" Jake asked, a chill running through him. "Your father wasn't he just a businessman? He had enemies. People who would kill to keep the truth buried," Marcus replied, lowering his voice. "And if you're digging around, they might see you as a problem." In that moment, Ellen felt the ground shift beneath her, fear creeping in like fog. "What do we do?" she pressed, her voice trembling slightly. Marcus's laughter was warm but edged with tension. "Well, first you need to decide how much you really want this. What are you willing to risk?" "I'm willing to risk it all," Jake said, his gaze unwavering. "This is family we're talking about." Ellen glanced between them, feeling the weight of Jake's words. That's when she noticed a dark figure behind the diner's window, lurking in the shadows. Her heart dropped. "Jake," she whispered, fear gripping her. But before she could finish, the door swung open, causing a bell to jingle softly. A man in a dark jacket stepped in, scanning the room. The air became electric with anticipation. "Anyone following us?" Marcus asked coolly, not missing a beat. Before they could answer, a chilling realization fell over Ellen. The diner's familiar glow suddenly felt like a prison, one that was slowly closing in on them. As she searched for an exit, the man outside turned, locking eyes with her, a sinister grin creeping across his face, heralding what felt like the true beginning of chaos. "What have we stumbled into?" Jake whispered, panic creeping into his voice. Ellen, heart racing, felt the shadows converging again, and tonight the answers they sought seemed darker than she ever imagined. And in that moment, she knew it was only just the beginning. What other dangers awaited them as they plunged deeper into a world of secrets? Ellen's pulse quickened as she met Jake's bewildered gaze. The man's presence crackled in the air, heavy with unspoken tension. Every instinct screamed for them to leave, to run. But Jake's resolute voice broke through the fear. "What do you want?" he called out, trying to mask the quiver beneath his bravado. The man stepped closer, his smirk never wavering. "Just admiring the view," he said, his voice low and mocking. "Thought I'd check in on some old friends." Marcus kept his composure, yet Ellen could see the tension etched in his lined face. "You're not welcome here, Roscoe. Leave." Roscoe laughed softly, a sound that chilled Ellen to her core. "Oh, but I've only just arrived." He turned his attention to Jake and Ellen, his eyes glinting with something akin to malice. You kids sure are digging into things that are better left buried. You don't want to get hurt. What do you know about our family? Jake retorted, his face hardening. More than you think, Roscoe replied, leaning back as if this was all just a game to him. Your father had a lot of secrets. I'm sure he wasn't the kind to share them with you. Ellen felt a weight settle in her stomach. The truth of her father's past had always felt like a shadow looming over them. But this was different, this was a threat. Why are you here? Ellen asked, her voice steadier than she felt. What do you want? He leaned closer, his breath stale and intrusive. I want to make sure you two understand your place. There's a price for digging into old bones. You might think you're special, but trust me, you should be careful who you trust and how much you want to dive into this mess. Jake clenched his fists, his frustration bubbling. We'll find the truth, no matter what it takes. A fleeting moment of fear crossed Roscoe's face before he masked it with derision. You think you can take on the world? You've got no idea what you're getting yourselves into. Just then a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, drawing everyone's attention. A plate hit the floor, scattering pieces across the tile. The waitress quickly scurried to clean it up, visibly shaken. Ellen felt the shift in the atmosphere. Eyes were now on them, whispered conversations spreading through the diner like wildfire. We should go, Marcus suggested, urgency lining his tone. Now. Without waiting for a response, he stood in motion for Jake and Ellen to follow. They climbed out of the booth, adrenaline coursing through them as they attempted to figure out their next move. But Roscoe moved to block their path, his smile sharpening. You think you can escape? This is just game one, kids. You'll want to be here for the grand finale. They pushed past him, Ellen's heart racing as they slipped outside into the night. The cool air hit them like a wave, but it couldn't quell the heat of the chaos that had just unfolded. Where to now? Jake asked, his face serious, the facade of courage slipping away to reveal uncertainty underneath. Ellen looked back at the diner, her mind racing. The shadows that had haunted her family's past were deeper and darker than she'd imagined. We need to figure out the truth, starting with Marcus. He knows more than he's letting on. You think so? Jake questioned, glancing around nervously. What if he's leading us into even more danger? She caught his worried stare and took a deep breath. We'll only know if we go deeper, she replied firmly. But we need to be careful. They turned away from the diner and started walking, the furtive glances of the diner patrons still lingering in their minds. It felt like the threads of their lives were unraveling, entwined with secrets that could drag them down if they weren't careful. As they walked, an overwhelming sense of urgency washed over Ellen. What were they really up against? The thought was daunting, but there was no turning back now. The truth waited for them, including the darkness lurking just beneath the surface. With each step, she wondered what awaited them in the shadows of their father's legacy. And what other secrets were they about to bring to light? The street was eerily quiet, save for the distant hum of cars and the rustling of leaves in the cool night air. Ellen led the way, her instincts razor-sharp, her heart pounding in rhythm with her racing thoughts. The flickering streetlights cast shadows that danced like ghosts, and every step felt like an echo from the past, whispering warnings in her ear. Did you see his face? Jake muttered, shaking his head as they walked briskly down the sidewalk. He thinks he knows everything. Ellen nodded, but her mind was focused elsewhere. Roscoe's words had struck a nerve. The idea that their father had kept secrets felt heavier than any burden she'd ever carried. They always wondered why he had been so guarded, but now it felt like a guardedness tinged with danger. What if Marcus really is hiding something? Jake continued, gnawing on his lip. What if we're just walking into a trap? We have to find him. He knows the rest of the story, and I won't let fear dictate our choices, she said, her voice steadier than the turmoil inside. She glanced at Jake, who was still grappling with uncertainty. Look, I get it. It's scary, but avoiding it won't help us. We need to confront this. With each block they traversed, paranoia clung to them like a second skin. Every creak of a branch or distant laughter jolted Ellen's senses. It was harder to shake off the feeling that they were being watched. The bite of anxiety mixed with the thrill of discovery made her pulse race. After what Roscoe said, I'm not sure I trust anyone, Jake admitted, halting at the corner when he spotted a dark alleyway. Especially not Marcus. Ellen stepped closer and gripped his shoulder, forcing him to meet her gaze. I understand, but if we don't confront Marcus, we risk letting all of this fester. We need the truth. The resolve in her voice seemed to spark something in Jake. "'Kay, let us find him. If we're right, he might have answers for us. If we're wrong, well, at least we face it together." They veered toward where Marcus had parked the car, scanning the area as they approached. A shroud of tension hung over them, palpable in the night air. They reached the parking lot, the shadows of the trees looming like sentinels, but there was no sign of Marcus. Where could he be? Ellen muttered, anxiety creeping back. Just then the sound of footsteps echoed behind them. They whirled around, heartbeats quickening. It was Marcus, his brow furrowed, panic etching deep into his features as he approached. "Where have you two been? It's not safe here." Jake snapped, sensing the urgency. "Roscoe's not going to let this go. We need to know what you're hiding." Marcus hesitated, fear swirling in his eyes like a storm. "You don't understand. Some truths are better left unspoken." Ellen felt a cold chill. What can you possibly know that could be worse than the danger Roscoe poses? For a moment silence hung between them, thick and suffocating. Marcus's face betrayed a mix of pain and hesitation. It was then that Ellen noticed something glinting in his hand, a keychain with a small silver locket. She squinted, a knot tightening in her chest. It looked eerily familiar. "Marcus," she started, her voice barely above a whisper, but it was too late. He turned, the urgency in his eyes morphing into an unbearable weight. "There's some family history that has to come out, but it's not just about our past. It will change everything you think you know." "What do you mean?" Jake stepped forward, confusion cutting through his earlier bravado. Marcus sighed heavily, shoulders sagging as if he carried the burden of the world. "There are some secrets tied to your father that go deeper than you can imagine. It involves more than just him, it involves you both." Ellen's heart raced as she exchanged glances with Jake. "What are you saying?" He hesitated, looking back toward the darkened street as if sensing an unseen threat. "Meet me at the old mill. It's time you both knew what really happened that night and how it connects to you." With that, he turned and disappeared into the shadowy depths of the parking lot, leaving Ellen and Jake standing in stunned silence as the weight of uncertainty pressed down around them. "Do we really want to go there?" Jake finally asked, his voice shaking. Ellen's instincts flared once again, both anxious and excited. "We have to, but what if what we discover pulls us deeper into a web we can't escape?" As they locked eyes, the night closed in around them, leaving lingering thoughts of a dark legacy yet to be uncovered. What awaited them at the old mill? And how would it change everything they thought they knew about their family? The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow over the path that led to the old mill. Ellen's heart raced as they walked, each step echoing louder than the last. She felt the cool breeze against her skin, whispering warnings and luring her deeper into the night's mysteries. The mill loomed ahead, a skeletal structure wrapped in shadows and secrets, its weathered walls testament to stories long buried. "What if it's too late?" Jake's voice trembled, breaking the silence that surrounded them. "What if we can't handle what we find out?" Ellen paused, turning to face him. She could see fear swimming in his eyes. "Jake, we can't keep running. Whatever it is, we have to face it. It's not just about Dad, it's about us too." He swallowed hard, his shoulders tensing. I wish I knew what to expect. It feels like we're diving into a pit without a rope. We're stronger than we think." She reached out, squeezing his hand. "Together we can handle anything. Together." The word resonated within her as they made their way to the entrance of the mill, the crumbling door creaking open with a haunting sound, almost as if it were protesting against their intrusion. Dust motes floated in the moonlight, dancing around them as they stepped inside. Darkness enveloped them, and the air inside felt heavy and thick, like it was filled with the weight of countless untold stories. The only light came from the windows, casting fractured patterns on the wooden floor. With each step, Ellen felt the presence of the past more strongly, memories that had been hidden and forgotten. "Do you really think Marcus knows something more? Something dangerous?" Jake whispered, his voice scarcely above a hush. Ellen nodded, her resolve hardening. "Yes, and I think that whatever he holds back, it connects us to something bigger than just our father." They moved deeper into the mill, the creaking floorboards beneath them protesting every motion. Ellen felt an electric pulse of anxiety thrumming through her veins. She imagined hands tracing the outlines of old memories, touching lives entwined with their own. As they entered the main chamber, she spotted a figure standing at the far end. It was Marcus, his face barely illuminated but etched with a seriousness that sent chills down her spine. He was waiting, his body tense, as if bracing for the impact of the storm that was about to break. "Thank you for coming." Marcus's voice cracked, and all three of them stood frozen for a heartbeat, the gravity of the moment crashing down around them. "You need to understand your father was involved in things much darker than you can imagine. There are reasons he never spoke of the past." "What do you mean?" Ellen stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Tonight, you'll learn about a choice he made, a choice that affected your entire lives." He pointed to the far wall where a faded photograph hung, illuminated just enough by the moonlight streaming through the window. "That photo holds the key." As they approached, the image became clearer, a family portrait, one that felt oddly familiar yet distant. It was a moment frozen in time, capturing laughter and light. But then Ellen noticed it, an unfamiliar face standing beside their father, one they had never seen before. She glanced at Jake, whose expression mirrored her own shock. "Who is that? Why is he there?" "That man," Marcus began, his voice dropping to a whisper. "He was part of a secret pact that your father was involved in, a pact that tied your fates together in ways you never knew." Ellen felt a sickening realization wash over her. They were on the brink of a revelation that could upend everything they thought they knew about their family. "What did we get ourselves into?" Jake's voice was barely audible, full of dread. Ellen could only shake her head as a cold wave of fear washed over her, leaving her breathless. "Whatever is about to unfold here could be the most important moment of our lives," Marcus warned, his eyes flickering with a mix of concern and tension. As they stood before the photograph, the air thickened with uncertainty. What had their father hidden from them all these years? And what impact would the truth have now? The smell of dust mingled with the urgency of the moment, pulling them deeper into the history that entangled their lives. What if unraveling this mystery opened a door to something unimaginable? Ellen felt her pulse quicken at the thought. The night may hold answers, but would they be the answers they hoped for? Or would it trap them further in an enigma they couldn't escape? The air shifted, charged and expectant, as curiosity and trepidation tangled within her heart. Was this really the beginning of understanding? Or the start of an even darker journey ahead? The space in the old mill felt like a time capsule waiting to burst. Ellen's heart raced as she gazed at the faded family portrait, an image frozen in time with threads of mystery woven tightly into it. The unknown man beside her father felt like a ghost emerging from the past, pulling at strings she didn't even know existed. "What do we do now?" Jake whispered, his voice trembling on the brink of uncertainty. Ellen stepped closer to the photograph, feeling the weight of history pressing down around them. "We need to know who he is and what he did to connect our lives." Marcus shifted nervously, the shadows dancing around him. "Your father made choices. Dangerous ones. He thought he was protecting you, but in reality, he could have put you right in the path of his demons." "Demons?" Jake echoed, the worry entrenched in his features. "Yes, your family has a legacy that's tainted with secrets, deals that involved enemies lurking even now." "Trust me," Marcus said, urgency tightening his voice. "Uncovering the truth isn't just about your family's wealth. It's about survival." Ellen felt the chill of the conversation settle deep into her bones. "So what now? How do we uncover this legacy? What do we need to do?" "We need to dig deeper into your father's past, especially that man in the photo," Marcus replied, glancing back at the picture. "He has the key to everything. You're not safe until you know what he knew. And who he was to your father." A wave of apprehension flowed through Ellen, but the idea of shedding light on the darkness was also intoxicating. "Let us find out who he is," she declared, determination igniting a spark within her. "We can confront whatever comes together." As they moved further into the mill, Marcus led them to an office filled with dusty files and boxes stacked high, whispers of stories and secrets contained within. "This is where your father kept records of his dealings," he said, rummaging through the piles of forgotten papers. "But beware. There may be things you wish you hadn't uncovered." Ellen and Jake exchanged glances, mutual resolve anchoring them through the swell of dread. They each took a side of the cluttered desk, poring over old documents, trying to weave together fragments of a past that felt more unsettling with every glance. Hours passed as the shadows grew longer, each yellowed page revealing more truths wrapped in secrecy. Memories etched into faded ink began to flood Ellen's mind, times of laughter, little quirks about her father that sparkled through the darkness, but they were intertwined with feelings of betrayal. "I think I found something," Jake called out, his excitement cutting through their solemn silence. He held up a document, its edges worn, but the bold letters were still legible. "Look, it's a contract dated years before we were born, guaranteeing access to an estate, but it mentions a clause about consequences for betrayal." "What does that mean?" Ellen's stomach twisted. "Betrayal? There's that word again." Marcus leaned in, his eyes widening. "That might refer to the man in the photo. He could be tied to past dealings that your father thought were behind him or might not be." They continued their search, tension mounting, and the air crackled with suspense. Every page held answers but also left questions hanging like weighty clouds overhead. Finally, amidst the pile of forgotten lies, an envelope marked with a faded seal caught Ellen's attention. She pulled it free, heart hammering in her chest as she opened it. Inside was a single letter, an admission composed in her father's handwriting. "Dear whoever might read this," she began aloud, voice trembling. "If you are reading this, it means someone has learned my secrets. I've made choices that I cannot regret because they protect my family, but there are those who believe otherwise. There's a man in the photo who knew every sin I carried. Protect him at all costs or face the darkness I have tried so hard to shield you from." Ellen's breath caught in her throat. He had warned us. This wasn't just about wealth. It was about something far more dangerous. What did he mean by darkness? Jake asked, his brows knit with concern. Marcus stepped back, a heavy weight of worry settling on his shoulders. The past can be a terrible place. This is only the beginning of a storm that has been brewing for a long time. And as they stood around the table, the shadows of their father's untold legacy closing in, realization washed over them like a tidal wave. They were on the precipice of a crucial choice that would redefine everything they thought they knew. In that instant, Ellen felt the pulse of determination throbbing in her veins. "We won't run from this. We'll face whatever disruption comes our way, no matter what it takes. Our family's story deserves to be told." With resolute hearts and a dawning sense of purpose illuminating the dark corners of uncertainty, they committed to uncovering the complete truth, ready to confront the shadows that had haunted them for far too long. A new journey voraciously awaited. The path may be shadowed by dangers hidden in their family's legacy, but they would stand together, undeterred, ready to shine their own light into the darkest corners. And as they set their sights on the fight ahead, they knew one thing for sure. The legacy of love built through hardship would continue, undiminished and stronger than ever. Now it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will tug at your heartstrings. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let others experience this incredible transformation. Comment below on your reactions and feelings about this Ending Your Voice Matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to know the power of facing the truth together. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second. Only true fans understand how important it is to stand by this community through these powerful moments.